Hi there, it's Anne of Rosy Duck Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining us today. I'm kind of thinking of renaming this slot as Crafting with Ollie. What do you think? Do you think it's going to catch on? There's a very good reason that I'm letting you sit here just for the moment, because we've kind of got a cat theme going on. But this is your moment of fame, because you're going to have to get off in a minute. You are. You want to have a little check around and make sure I've got everything. Yeah, it's not very likely, is it? Yeah. Yeah, we've got Wink of Stella, but we don't even need that today. That's the first card we're going to share with everybody. You're so helpful. You are. But do you know what? You're going to have to get off now. Or shall I go and craft somewhere else? What do you reckon? Do you think that's a plan? I don't think it's going to work that way though. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to apologise in advance, because it's one of those really horrible, gloomy, cold November days, and we're resorting to lights above the work top, and we've got the bedroom light on, which has got blue flashes in it. So I apologise in advance as to how this video is going to pan out, but I'm hoping that you're going to get the gist of it. So you, young man, have got to get off. Come on, Grumpy. Come on. Come on, I'll make it up to you when you get downstairs. Yeah, I will. I'll give you some nice crunchy bits. He's over there. That's a good boy. You can stand direct from there, look. Where you going? Right, come on, we need to do some crafting. So, I know in my last video I did remove some cat hair. I did say that I was going to do something with the little gold mini pizza boxes. I've actually prepped it all and it was all ready to go, but I found myself in need of a number of thank you cards and also an anniversary card. I made one of the cards and I was so pleased with just how it looked. It was very simple to make, but it was quite effective, that I actually made the whole series of cards. So I've got to write them and they've got to go in the post. So this was the one opportunity to actually share them with you before they disappear. So the pizza box will be next. But for today, we've actually got a cat theme going on, as I mentioned. And I think this is where we're going to have a challenge, because it is quite a dark materials that we're actually working with. So I'm getting some nods from my cameraman that it's actually looking okay. Oh, actually covered in cat hair. So that's another job for me this afternoon. So this is the first one I've made, and it's a thank you card. And I've actually used the Delightful Daisy stamp, thank you stamp out of that stamp set, and I've used it with this copper ink that was available in the autumn winter catalogue. So if you've got that, this will work very well with this project. Sadly, because we're coming towards the end of the sale period of the autumn winter catalogue, the ink has actually now run out, so unfortunately you can't order that anymore. But as I say, if you've already got it, that will work really well. And I've used the hammered metal 3D embossing folder to get the background of the card. And that is, again, you'll find this under, I think it's the Brighton Gleaming Sweet, I think, something like that, in the autumn winter catalogue. But I've checked that this morning and that is still available. It's the only problem when we come towards an end of a catalogue and we start to run out of things, but the embossing folder works really well with all of the foil sheets of card, because they're metallic, and then you're embossing it like you would a hammered metal finish, so they do look very effective. So I have used, very simply, my cat punch to punch out the cat, and I've stuck that on top of a piece of black cardstock, and I've cut that out using my stitch shape framelit dies. So I think I've actually used all 3 versions of these on the cards. Yeah, so I've used either circles, the ovals and the squares, depending on what look you actually want. So there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a big shot involved with this particular project, but there's very little stamping, which is it's quite nice. So let me just share the cards with you. That's that one. So I've used that in the landscape way, and then this one is in the portrait style, and in this one I've used the butterfly. It's gone. There's the butterfly stamp set that we've got. That sentiment is from that, and I've actually heat embossed that with copper stamping emboss powder. Then I've got anniversary cards. So I've got 2 cats going on here, and I've used the oval stitch framelit dies with that. And again, because it's an anniversary card, want it to be a little bit special, so I've heat embossed the happy anniversary sentiment from the beautiful bouquet stamp set, and then I've just layered this up using the stitch framelit dies, and both sentiments, this again is from the beautiful bouquet stamp set, and I've heat embossed both of those. The little heart is from the dog punch, and I've literally just cut that out using the copper foil paper. That's that one. And finally, so that the dogs are not left out, I've done one, again a thank you card, and this time I've used the same sentiment from the delightful Daisy stamp set, but I've actually heat embossed that with the copper emboss powder, and I've heat embossed the 2 little paws on that. And then we've got the dog sitting on a square stitch label framelit die, and the little heart there from the punch. So very, very simple to put together, but in a reasonable light they actually look quite effective. And I've just decorated the envelopes, depending on whether it was a cat or a dog, using some sentiments from the Happy Tales stamp set and the 9 Lives stamp set, which coordinate with the respective punches. I've actually done that in using the copper ink. You could heat emboss it if you haven't got this, or you could even just do that in black, because you're tying the black theme into the bases of the card. So I'm just going to put all these back together. A fair bit of writing to do this afternoon, as well as brush a cat or 2 or 3. Something to look forward to, isn't it, Ollie? So I have, as my base card, I've got a piece of black cardstock, again as normal, cut at 8x6, scored at 4 on the long side, and then I'm just making sure that my fold is nice and crisp with my bone folder. The black with the, particularly with the copper, it really sort of works well together, I have to say, quite dramatic. So my piece of copper foil is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've just literally put my piece of card in the embossing folder, and then I've just run that through my big shot, and it comes out looking like that. So I want to stick that to the front of the card. I've got some snail. You want to make sure you could use the liquid glue, but you just need to make sure that you're getting a good coverage of the snail on the card, because you've got its undulating, is that the right word? Going up and down rather than it being a smooth piece.
Uneven.
Uneven, yeah. Whatever. It's not smooth. Undulating hills is what I'm thinking of. I was about to go into the Big Shark song. A whole new theme to the crafting. So I'm going to stick that onto my base card, just centralising it on the front there. Are you getting that at all? Yeah. So we have a choice to make. Shall we go portrait or landscape? Let's go portrait. Although I've got, no, I'm going to go landscape. I've got quite a big sentiment to go across the middle. So I've cut out already using the largest of my circle stitched framelit dies. I'll just run that through the big shot, and again using the black cardstock. And I need to punch out a cat. So I've got my piece of copper foil, and these are £4.75 for 2 sheets. So you want to be able to use them, I think what the word is.
It's maximum.
Yes, it's maximum. Yeah, that's it. There's a word for that. If you think of it, let me know. But yeah, you want to be getting the best out of it. You also need to be careful when you're handling it, because you can very easily dent it and just make some marks in it. So I tend to put mine straight away when I've used it. But well worth the investment, because it's not something you're going to use. Generally speaking, you're not going to make as many cards as that in one go, are you? But very good for effect. So I'm putting my punch there. I think, as usual, I'm going to put that up there just for safety. Having said I normally put it straight away. As usual, I've forgotten something, but never mind. We'll come back to that. There's a roll of the eyes. So I've got some little the mini stamping dimensionals that I'm gonna just want a bit of lift on the card, so I'm just gonna put some stamping dimensionals to raise the cat off of the black background, but then I'm also going to raise the whole thing off of the actual base card. So I want to put on enough that it's going to make him quite secure. And the tail, you want to make sure, if you don't secure the tail down, you're going to have that sort of flapping around a bit. So I'm just cutting a bit off of a mini stamping dimensional. Just going to put that there, and then another little bit off the top here. Now I'm just turning it over to make sure that I can't see any of the white. And I'm getting a tiny bit here, so I'm just going to trim that. Now pulling the backs off. And all I'm going to do is just stick that onto the middle of the circle. And that is ready to go onto the front of my card. So moving on to the middle, or the inside of it, again I've got 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 piece of thick white cardstock, and I'm going to make a thank you card, because I do get through so many of those, I have to say. So that is the thank you stamp from the Daisy Delight stamp set, and I'm actually going to heat emboss that. So I've got my Embossing Buddy. Going on this side. There's a strange mark on that front bit. So I'm just going across the middle with my Embossing Buddy, and all that's going to do is put some powder on there so that when I tip the embossing powder on, it's going to stick where I want it to stick and not stick so much where I don't want it to stick. So I've got some Versamark. And then going across the middle of the card. Just a random piece of scrap paper and some copper embossing powder. I'm just going to run that across where I've got the stamped out thank you. Then I'm just going to tip that off back into the pot, hopefully. And just going to tap the card to just get rid of some of the any excess, and then I always have to hand a little soft paintbrush just to, without touching obviously the sentiment that hasn't been embossed yet, but just getting off anything that I don't want to be on there. But I hope you can see from that it's come off very, very cleanly. When you don't use the pad, I have to say I was working on something last night and just totally forgot to put the pad on, the little Embossing Buddy, and I had embossing powder where, you know, in all sorts of areas I didn't want it. So just sort of proved to me how invaluable a little tool that is. So I'm just going to heat that up. And that is, hopefully you can see that. Yeah. So that's been nicely heat embossed using the copper embossing powder. So all that is left for me to do is to actually stick that into the middle of the card. What I also should have said is just wipe your, knock the odd bits of powder off of your grid paper. Good plan, that is. It's my tip of the day. But because I'm not heating it up, it's not a problem, they're just going to come off. But actually a good idea to just, we'll clean up later. So that's the inside of my card. So I'm just going to line my piece of Whisper White card, just centralising it. Because of the heat, the card will raise up slightly, so just make sure you've pushed it down, put enough glue on it and pushed it down, and if you wish at this point you could just leave it under your pad of grid paper just for a little while. I'm not going to do that because it will stick down anyway, it's perfectly right, but if you want to be sure. So I've now got this bit and I'm going to just stick that on to the front with some stamping dimensionals. This time I'm going for the normal size ones. Sure that actually came out, but that was a very pretty little trilling noise you were giving us there, Ollie. Dreaming, is it? What are you doing? Dreaming of the day when I actually bring everything in that I need to do a crafting video. Your skills as director are not required. I think you've got a long wait there. So I'm just going to stick that on the middle. Yeah, coming up. So that is literally our finished card. So if I hadn't been chatting away like I normally do, as I'm sure you can appreciate, it's a very quick little card. So I just want to decorate it a little bit. I want to decorate the envelope a little bit, as we do. So I've got the meow stamp out of the 9 lives, and I've got the wall stamp. But I also like the little paw print out of the Happy Tails, because I kind of think that works for cats or dogs. So if you've got both, you can always use the paw print. I have to say I was absolutely devastated the other week when this went missing. It finally turned up in a punch, and I've got no idea how it got there, but I was very relieved to get it back, even though I'd probably spent a good day cleaning up in the craft area. I don't think it'd ever been that tidy. So I'm going to have we'll have a ball of wool down here, and then we'll have another ball of wool over here. And we'll have a meow there, a meow there. I have to say I love this ink, and I'm very sad that it's not carrying through. But never mind. There's always new good things to be had. So I've got my 3 little paws there. And I'm just going to flip it over. I'll put the paw this end, paw that end, and another ball of wool in the middle. So that's just my envelope, just a little bit prettied up, ready for the card. The rubbish out of the way. Is that showing up? Not like that, it's not, is it? Whoops. So that's that side of the envelope, and that is that side. So I don't know whether it's the best thing if you can perhaps pause the video. So I just wanted to say a couple of things about the punches. So I just wanted to probably state the obvious, but you can see that I've got 2 cats facing each other, but obviously the punch is basically looking this way with the cat looking to the left. So how you actually achieve that, and I don't want to cut out I don't want to waste my foil sheeting, but so I'm going to show you on this bit actually. So if you think this bit's the bronze and this bit's not, this bit would be the white background. So if you take your paper and you cut it out that way, so you have a cat facing left, and it works this way, it doesn't help particularly. Turn your paper over and cut the cat that way. Now when you're using a double-sided paper, it doesn't actually matter which way you cut it out. If that makes any sense. But when you've got this paper, you've got a white side here, so it's important to switch the punch round to get the cat going in the right direction. Does that make sense? You're sitting here listening to it? No? Doesn't make sense at all. Okay.
Basically, just turn the paper over.
Turn the paper over, yeah. But in this instance, it doesn't matter because you can just turn it over when you're using designer series paper. But with this one, you have to specifically turn it over. Yeah, okay. You specifically have to turn it over to get the cat going in the different direction. Okay, so there's enough waffling, I think. Let's try to be helpful. So if you join me on I think it was my last video when I did the Northern Lights technique card. I made a card and I was a little bit non-specific about what I had in mind for it. The reason being that I was using it as the basis of an anniversary card for my fabulous cameraman, as we recently celebrated our anniversary. So I couldn't say too much as he was sitting there aiming the camera. So I can now share with you the finished result. So again, I've got a copper theme going in this one. So I've got the band off of this. Now this card fold is based on a tutorial that I saw from the amazing Kylie Bertucci out in Australia. And if you want to check it out, it's her fancy fold accordion card. So that's where I've seen the fold of the card, and I think she used Good Morning Magnolia on it, so it's well worth a watch. But really good card. So that's my front page, which is the one that you would have seen me do actually on my last, or on my Northern Lights tutorial. So I've used various stamp sets. The point really was just to highlight the this particular style of card, and also just to throw some light on what I was actually going to do with the card that I made. Now that's what it actually looks like before I put the message on it. It was one of those chicken and egg situations because I couldn't get him to film it before I'd written it, because he would have got it before the anniversary. So I've sort of redone this bit because certain things are private. And then I've got the back here, and then that just flips back this way. So that is how, or what happened to the card that was on the last tutorial. So I think that's it for now. I will be back as promised. I really mean it this time with the golden pizza boxes. So I'm hoping it will be a bit of a brighter day next time, and we won't have to resort to all these different lights and things all over the place. But until then, oh, he's worn himself out, look. We'll leave him sleeping. So I'll say goodbye on Ollie's behalf, and we will see you again very soon. Just as usual, shop links are on the front of the video, and you can buy the majority of things that I've used today, apart from the copper ink that is now out of stock. Also, there'll be a link to my blog post from where you can access my social media sites, and also if you would like to give me a thumbs up, that would be brilliant for this video, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that would also be really good, much appreciated. So I think that's all I have to say. I think if you're here in the UK, the order of the day is stay in and keep warm as much as possible, because it really is very cold. So we will catch up with you again very soon, but until then, take care. Bye bye. So me and the director have been having a bit of a discussion, and I have to say that I seem to get myself somewhat confused over how we cut cats out and get them facing each other. So I'm going to have a go using a piece of foil paper, which was the Celebration foil. So I'm kind of not using that anymore, but it will give hopefully a better idea of what I'm trying to say. So with our foil papers, we have foil on one side and we have a white background. All right so far, Ollie? So the punch, obviously the cat is facing left. So look, we've got a team effort going on here, so hopefully it's all going to work out right. So if I use it with the punch with the foil side upwards and punch the cat. Oh,
it's not
sorry.
Punch the cat and hit me.
No. Yeah, hit your knee. I didn't punch you though, did I? I punched this cat, not you, Ollie. So now I want one that's facing in the opposite direction. So if I turn my paper over, and again I punch the cat out, I finish up with a cat looking in different directions. The same principle applies when you're using designer series paper. You did get you with that bit of paper, didn't I, Ollie? So I'm going back to the example I used earlier in the video. So I can either have two cats going facing each other, but I can use, this is where I get myself confused. So I've got this I've punched out, and I would have punched that out in the same direction, but I can actually flip that over so I have two different designs of cats. If I want the two facing each other like this, then I would have to take my paper and I would have to punch it out as I've done with this cat. Then you have to flip your paper over and then punch the cat out again, and then you finish up with two cats facing each other. Now does that make better sense? Are you happy? So I hope that is helpful. It's, as I said at the start of the video, it probably is common sense. It's just me trying to complicate it, or as I said before, trying to be helpful. So we will leave it with that. Did you get all that, Ollie? At least you get to say goodbye to everybody, because earlier you were fast asleep, weren't you? You've got your eye on these, haven't you? Look, you can play with them if you like. No, you want the Embossing Buddy by the looks of things. So you're going to say goodbye to everyone? Are you? Say bye-bye. See you next time. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You're not having my Embossing Buddy though. It's too valuable. So, as I say, I do hope that has clarified matters and you're not totally confused. So you can just fast forward the rubbishy bit. No, I knew you wanted that. You're not having it. And we will see you all again very soon. Until then, do take care. Bye-bye. It's going to be an interesting design on the car. Look at his tail. Poor little pussycat. I think that one you might need to do the same thing with that one. No, you're just going to use that one, are we? Okay. I'll see what we can do. I'll see if I can feature this on another YouTube. This is something. Don't eat it. Seriously? Look at him. Look at it. I don't know. Right, I think we need to turn the camera off.